Hello, old friends. Welcome in from the rain and the snow. We have gathered here together for those outside we do not know. By this kindness to our brothers we admit we too are cold. Feel the fires of injustice, sing the songs of Winterfolk. Beneath the Douglas fir cascades gleaming white, there's a woman wrapped in blankets, asleep in Portland town tonight. Her hallway is her castle, the bottle her only friend. She dreams of a warm, soft bed and a hot meal. Once again, hello, old friends. Welcome in from the rain and the snow. We have gathered here together for those outside we do not know. By this kindness to our sisters we admit we too are cold. Feel the fires of injustice, sing the songs of Winterfolk. We're all just short footsteps away from calamity and heartbreak and the price we would have to pay. So let those without a sin cast the first sharpened stone. Let the rest of us resolve to make the homeless feel less alone. Hello, old friends. Welcome in from the rain and the snow. We have gathered here together for those outside we do not know. By this kindness to our brothers we admit we too are cold. Feel the fires of injustice, sing the songs of Winterfolk. For as long as one is hungry without a home, each of us is poorer when the least fortunate has none. There but for fortune, on the streets we too could be. Let us pledge here tonight to end this poverty. Hello, old friends. Welcome in from the rain and the snow. We have gathered here together for those outside we do not know. By this kindness to our sisters we admit we too are cold. Feel the fires of injustice, sing the songs of Winterfolk. Feel the fires of injustice, sing the songs of Winterfolk.
TomMay. That was TomMay. Thank you, Tom. Welcome to another video episode of Coffeeshop Conversations at Artichoke Music. Glad to have you here in the Artichoke Cafe. Tom, you're no stranger to this stage, are you?
No, this is a wonderful place. It's migrated throughout the years, but it's always been one of the nicest places in the United States to play music.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to have you on because Winterfolk is coming up, but I wanted to have you on far enough away that people can get tickets.
Yes.
Now, tell me about that song.
That song was written for the 25th anniversary of Winterfolk. I wrote it for just a few years back. We're at year number 32 now.
Wow.
And Winterfolk has
Winterfolk is a millennial.
It is by now. That's really sobering. It started as a birthday party that somebody was having out here who was a fan of mine who flew me out for their birthday party in 1988, and that was the first Winterfolk. It took place at the Horsebrass Pub, where it was for 5 years, and then it moved to the Aladdin Theater for many years, and then the last few years, the Alberta Rose.
And what's the date on that?
This year, it's February 1st, 2020.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to get you on early so people can get tickets.
Yes, and it really makes a big difference. Every dollar that's raised for this benefit concert goes directly to the people that it's meant to help. The organization that the benefit is for is called JOIN, Join.
Yeah.
JOIN in this last year has put over 1,000 people into permanent housing in our area. And out of those 1,000...
Yeah.
Out of those 1,000 people, more than 85% are still in the houses that they were put into a year later. So they really do great work. They have a day center where people can receive mail, get a meal, get clothing. They offer all kinds of support services for folks who are just struggling to get by.
Well, that's great. That's great.
It's really a terrific organization. I'm proud to be associated with them. And so all the money from the sale of Winterfolk tickets and from the sale of the guitar raffle that we have every year at the event goes to join.
And where do you get who provides the guitars?
Well, every year it's been a different scenario. This year, ironically enough, we're raffling off the same guitar that we raffled off 2 years ago. The guitar is a beautiful custom Martin D28 that belonged to Richard Colombo. And 2 years ago, Richard generously donated that guitar, because he didn't really play it anymore, to the guitar raffle. And the winner of that guitar raffle that year had another beautiful guitar that she really likes and decided she just still enjoyed her Collings guitar better. So Steve Einhorn had the bright idea of approaching her and saying, well, since you never played that guitar, how about if you give it to us again and we'll raffle it off again. So that's what we're doing.
That's good. That's good. So who'll be appearing?
This year, we've got a great slate. First of all, Tracy Grammer.
All right.
Who's Tracy, who's certainly folk music royalty in our neck of the woods and well known around the country and such a dear soul. Tracy will be flying here from New England to be the headliner of the show. Steve and Kate, Steve Einhorn and Kate Power. We have a new trio who, by the name of Brooks Hill, who features the music, the voice of Cindy Lou Banks, who's pretty well known in the Portland area, and they've got a great acoustic trio. And also Beth Wood, who's no stranger. Beth Wood, and then last year, for the very first time, I had Kim Stafford at Winterfolk. And Kim just blew people away with the song that he chose to sing that he had written, and also his poetry. So we're having him back again this year as well. And also Jim Page with Billy Oskey. Jim Page is kind of in the tradition of what Winterfolk has always been. For many years, a long time, Utah Phillips would appear at Winterfolk every year. He'd come up from California and be a part of the show. And so Jim Page kind of carries on in that Utah Phillips important slot, kind of the social conscience of the event, with his topical songs that just really get your attention and make you think about the world that we live in today. And Jim is ably assisted by Billy Oskey, who is an incredible fiddle player, of course, who founded the Celtic group Night Noise that toured the world, and Billy has his own great recording studio outside of Portland.
He was a guest on the podcast about a week after his place almost burned down.
Yes,
the fire didn't quite get there.
Yeah, thank
But
goodness.
he was all packed up and ready to go.
I know he was. I talked to Billy all the time. I recorded 2 albums at his studio, and Dave Carter and Tracy Grammer recorded a couple of albums there as well.
It's interesting, the people who've recorded there, because it's not just folk. Because Liv Warfield recorded her album there.
Yeah, and he had some guys, some hip hop guys, that came up from L.A. that the record company brought them in there to record. So Billy's a multi-talented fella for sure.
And you'll be performing too, yes?
Yes, I'll be performing with my longtime bass player Donnie Wright, who's just a great musician in all senses, and Matt Snook on dobro.
How long have you been playing with Donnie?
Oh, with Donnie, I've been playing about 20 years now.
Wow.
20 years.
So you don't have to even talk to each other.
Well, we prefer not to. No, just kidding. No, Donnie's one of those great souls. He's one of the people I know that out of all of the places I've lived and all the things I've done in the music business, Donnie's one of those people that, my God, the man can sing a harmony on the drop of a hat flawlessly, and his ability on a variety of instruments, not just the bass, but on the guitar too, is simply phenomenal. He's a great musician. He's one of those guys. He's from Madras, Oregon.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I always, if he'd have had a break, he could have been a noble member of any touring band for any big name artist in the United States. It just never happened for him.
Well, geez.
but he's he does well. He's got a business here in Portland that sells pro audio gear, and he replicates CDs, and he plays all the time.
Well, good.
With lots of different people.
That's good. That's good. That looks like a well-traveled guitar.
This guitar is my newest guitar, actually. It's a
Really?
it's a 1990 Martin D41, so it's my newest one. Yeah.
Well, it's beautiful. What is it that you like about this guitar?
I just like the balance that it has, and I like the way it looks. As you say, it's got a nice appearance to it.
Yeah.
And it's just a very. I've gotten used to her over the years. I've had 4 wives, and this is probably my 5th wife, and I've gotten along with this one better than all the rest. So.
I always like to say, when I've said this before on this podcast, I interviewed Zoe, a great internationally known cellist, at one time, and she said that when she finally had to get a new cello, because she had been playing one that she had originally got when she was 12, and she was about 30 by then, right? That she went all over the world and dated the new cellos because it was that kind of relationship. I mean, do you feel that way about yours?
I do.
I mean, it sounded like you did.
I do feel that way.
Well, I thought of it.
Of course, for somebody playing the cello, I mean, my goodness, the cost of a good cello is a little bit more than this guitar. Yeah. You're talking tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, it's best to date before you marry in that case.
You slut. Okay, so did you do another song?
Yes. I'll do a song that is the title song of the most recent album, which is my 14th album.
Wow.
And this is a song of gratitude, for all of the roads I've been able to travel and the songs I've been able to play. It's called A Road Worth Driving Down. And my dear friend just walked into the back of the hall here, Dan Rieger, who owns a lovely studio here in Portland, Oregon, who we recorded this album at. So this is called A Road Worth Driving Down. South of Cody, Wyoming 125, the daybreak sky is alive. As the early morning rain subsides, there are purples, reds, and blues. On this sleepy Sunday sunrise, it is clear what I must do. So I marvel through the windshield, give thanks to the goddess of chance for the privilege of being here as those colors began to dance. Stop beside the 2-lane, hear the rangeland's lonesome sound. Reflect upon the pleasures of a road worth driving down. I'm close to the timberline, Colorado aspen glows. September before the first autumn snow. Trail Ridge Road is cold and frosty. All the tourists have gone east. Just myself and a dozen mountain goats find the tundra's stark relief. So I marvel through the windshield, give thanks to the goddess of chance for the privilege of being here as those colors began to dance. Stop beside the 2-lane, Rocky Mountains all around. Reflect upon the pleasures of a road worth driving down. Nebraska sand hills, vacant highway 2, back to the land that I once knew, where my parents weathered the worst hard times. The prairie towns are nearly gone. Pheasants rise up from the ditch as sunflowers greet the dawn. So I marvel through the windshield, give thanks to the goddess of chance for the privilege of being here as prairie lights began to dance. Stop beside the 2-lane, hear the magpie's mournful sound. Reflect upon the pleasures of a road worth driving down. US 97 spans the Columbia River blue. In the great Northwest where I found you, sunset on the Cascade Peaks finds me not alone. You are my constant friend and northern star who will journey with me home. So I marvel through the windshield, give thanks to the goddess of chance for the privilege of being here as light on Mount Adams begins to dance. Stop beside the two-lane, hear the river's rushing sound, reflect upon the pleasures of a road worth driving down. Stop beside the two-lane where those memories abound, reflect upon the pleasures of a road worth driving down.
Beautiful, beautiful. TomMay, hey, all right. So River City is still going strong?
River City Folk is still on about 75 stations around the country.
Well, that's amazing these days.
It is amazing. You know, it just absolutely confounds me. It's been going for almost 35 years now. And as I've said many times, what keeps it going is the efforts of people like Dan Rieger and like my co-producer back in Omaha, Nebraska, to keep it going. And I just figure, who am I to say I'm not going to do it anymore when all these people want to keep doing it? All the musicians want to do it, and the technical people want to do it. So we just keep doing it. We produce only about 4 or 5 new shows every quarter these days, but it's still...
We've got an amazing archive.
We've got quite a few shows.
Yeah.
Just about everybody in folk music that you can imagine along the way has done the program, and it's fun to go back and listen to those shows, particularly some of the shows by the folks who are no longer with us.
Right.
Dear friends like Chuck Pyle and folks like that who are not around anymore. To hear those programs is a great thing. And the radio show wound up being a television show, as I was mentioning to Gary Furlow, who's recording the show today.
And thank you, Gary Furlow, without whom the video podcast would not happen.
So Gary knows all about this video kind of stuff. But back in the 90s, I had a chance to do 32 episodes of this national television show. It was sponsored by the television part of the University of Nebraska, and then the Americana television network in Branson, Missouri. So it was an excruciating program to produce those weeks. It took forever for a 1.5 hour show. Every taping took about 4 or 5 hours.
Well, right.
All I did was drink coffee and smile the whole time, and do things many, many times. But it was a great experience, and a lot of those shows are still up on YouTube.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great. And do you stream the show also?
No, we don't stream the radio program now. Right. We don't. We just kind of limp along as best we can, and it's provided to stations via FTP, the FTP site, and they all grab it off of there and carry it in the slot that they choose for. But we don't stream it. No.
Wow.
Yep. Huh. We just never have. We work with the facilities and with the equipment that my co-producer has back there in Omaha, Nebraska. So
you're working on a new album?
I'm actually working on a compilation, a lot of outtakes of the 14 albums that will go along with this memoir book of mine that's going to be coming out in April, which is a book of many funny and somewhat disturbing stories of my life in the music business. It takes its title from a great saying that Bill Staines once told me. He said he went to play this gig in Alaska for the first time in Juneau, and he asked the promoter, he says, "So are we going to have a lot of people at the concert tonight?" And the promoter says, "Well, you know, there's this going on, there's that going on. I wouldn't count on it."
Oh, jeez.
So that's the name of the book. I wouldn't count on it. Confessions of an Unlikely Folk Singer. because I come from a totally non-musical family, from the state of Nebraska, totally non-musical, and it's been an interesting journey.
Do you do a lot of teaching?
No, I don't really teach.
Really?
No, a lot of my time is spent preparing for the radio show and working on Winterfolk, of course, which is a great labor of love.
Are you going to have a workshop here, aren't you?
Yes, going to have a workshop here. I believe it's on February 23rd. It's on a Sunday on how to get your music heard on radio, on folk radio. I've got extensive lists of folk radio programs around the country, the people to contact, how to do it to make sure your professional rights organization affiliation is set up and your copyrights are in place, and then how to send out the package to people and how to follow it up. So it'll be a real constructive couple hours for folks to find out how to do that.
That's great. Of course, that goes for no matter what genre, really.
Yep, absolutely, because it's one thing to do the creative part of it. It's a whole other struggle and challenge to get it out so people can actually hear what you've done.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but there is a way to do it, and it's an effective way to do it. It's going to be it'll be a fun afternoon, that Sunday afternoon here at Artichoke.
Yeah. Awesome. What's it like putting this compilation together and going back and listening to all this stuff?
I like to use that word again, excruciating. No, no, it's not that bad. It's just I do have a couple of things on there that were recorded in somebody's closet in Toronto in 1973, and my son really thinks I should include one of them, and I'm still on the fence about it. But
I think your son's right. What was it? What was it? Was it recorded on a cassette or something?
No, it was recorded on a 2-track Revox machine.
Oh well, that's not bad.
In a closet with a couple of microphones, a couple of probably SM57s, I imagine, and my buddy came in and played lead guitar for me, and a bass player was there. The bass player who was working with Gordon Lightfoot at that time played bass on it for me, and but when I listen back to it now, the problem is just because some of the wow and flutter of the tape, and some of the tape hiss, and that it's and then listening to my voice at that age. Although later, it doesn't bother me so much, but back then it's just very different, all those years ago.
TomMay, the fresh-faced young folk singer, ready to conquer the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was a different world back then, and that's a lot
for sure.
A lot about what the book is about too. It just was a different world. There were ways that a person could go out into the world and make a living with their music and learn their craft and be paid decently for it, decently enough to live in a city like Toronto or New York or St. Louis or all these different places I lived back then. It was just a different world, and it's a world that is gone now in many ways. Although there will always be grassroots music happening and always ways to figure out how to do it. But I think it's important to chronicle the times that have gone in an alternative art form, as this is.
Yeah. But it's like that in any creative endeavor. Writers, broadcasters, filmmakers. It's hard to get paid these days.
It's hard to get paid these days. It is. It's the whole concept, I think, for a lot of people of artists being paid is somehow become revolutionary. I don't know when that happened. I don't remember.
It started with Napster.
I know, and I don't remember signing a contract with Spotify where I started losing royalties at an incredible pace. I don't know when that happened, but it did happen. And on one hand, the music and your creative property is accessible to a lot of folks, but on the other hand, it's hard for people who are legitimately trying to make a go of it with their music.
I remember when I first moved to Portland in '97, I started writing for the Oregonian, and I could get $50 just for writing an op-ed.
Yeah.
Well, an op-ed is a comment on a tweet now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or a tweet. An op-ed piece is a tweet now, or just something on your Facebook page. I mean, there were real writers who used to be able to get paid for it.
Well, it's a different world.
Including me.
Yeah. I think of the young musicians who were working so hard and so talented to be heard. When I was a young guy and I moved up to Toronto, I got to do a lot of concerts, and those were always well-paying, doing an opening act. But in between times, I could go to these small towns, and I could play in these horrible bars, really.
Yeah.
But I could play there, learning my craft 4 or 5 nights a week, and I could make in 1973. I'd be paid $400 or $500 a week. That's back when gas was 25 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
My little place, my little efficiency 3rd floor flat in Toronto was $100 a month.
Yeah.
That was good money. So it was talking about good money. You could learn your craft.
Exactly.
And you could get by. It was just, it was a different time, a different world.
Yeah.
But I've been very, very fortunate, and I am constantly reminded of how fortunate I've been when I drive around the streets of Portland or Vancouver, Washington, and other towns, and I see people bedded down underneath the freeway overpasses and just trying like hell to get by somehow. And so Winterfolk has always been a real important project to me, because I'm aware that if we have a warm place to sleep and food to eat, we're very, very lucky, and we need to do what we can to make other folks a little less uncomfortable.
Well, that sounds like the lead-in to our final song. Thank you so much for being here. I know you got something prepared for us to go out on. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it. Nice to see you again.
Tom, it's always great to see you. Thanks for doing Oregon Music News and keeping everybody up to date on what's happening around. All my buddies that have been on your show, the great people of Portland like Terry Courier and so many folks. It's a wonderful service that you do.
TomMay, everybody.
So this is a song I wrote in Colorado in 1980. To all of those who've talked with me and shared a laugh or two, to the gentleman up in Edmonton, Alberta, who showed me what to do, to those who listen faithfully, even those who are untrue, to all of you and to everyone I say, thank you for your time. You make pleasure mine. Underline the words to every line and every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. To all of those in the alley who gave me an even break, to the man who handed me the only chance I couldn't take, to good coffee in the mornings when I'm only half awake, to all of you and to everything I say, thank you for your time. You make the pleasure mine. You underline the words to every line and every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. All of those today who took the time to share, to the drivers, to the pilots, to all the ones that got me here, to the women who have changed my viewpoint and put up with my long hair, to all of you and to everyone I say, thank you for your time. You make the pleasure mine. You underline the words to every line and every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. Thank you for your time. You make pleasure mine. You underline the words to every line and every song. I'd be dead wrong if I thought that I could do this on my own. Thanks for never leaving me alone. So I hope to see everybody at the Alberta Rose Theatre on February 1st for Winterfolk.